Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. Just the three of us this week. We are expecting a fourth back at some point, but it is just the three of us, and we're covering all of last week's games and the many, many games that are coming this week. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and share the podcast around. That's the big one. Share the podcast around. Right, let's get started. There's plenty to go through. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boys back again, us here at the CookieCast Podcast Network, bringing you your weekly football fix. As has been the case for the last couple of weeks, no Mr. Moore this week, but we are joined by Messrs. Cook and Woodmansey. How are we this week, gents?
All right, yeah.
Yeah, football can. Yeah, we'll come to that. Other than the football, just peachy. But unfortunately, when it comes to this podcast, football is the talk of the day. So, yeah, not ideal. Unfortunately, once again this week, time got away from me, and I was unable to watch the Fulham versus Nottingham Forest game, which is the first of the three games we need to dive into for week 25. So this is going to be very, very quick, I'm afraid. Nottingham Forest did not get anything from this game. They lost 2-1. Fulham's goal scorers, Emile Smith-Rowe, 15 minutes. Calvin Bassey on the 62nd minute. Forest did get a goal from Chris Wood in the 37th minute. But obviously Fulham ran out 2-1 winners. Luckily, everyone picked up points from this game. Andy had gone for a 2-0 Forest win with Elanga and Wood to score. So no points for the result, but 1 point for the Wood goal. Stuart gone for a 1-1 draw, Traore and Wood. I'd gone for a 2-2 draw. I had Jimenez and Smith-Rowe, Gibbs-White and Wood. So I get 2 points for that. Mr. Moore, however, had predicted a 2-1 Fulham win. Sadly, I was going to say sadly didn't pick any of the goal scorers. He had Jimenez and Muniz for Fulham and Wood for Forest. So he gets himself 3 points there. So 3 points from that, 2 points from himself, a point apiece for Stu and Andy. Our second game, which we will be able to talk about because one of us was there in person, saw Hull City taking on Norwich City. Going into this one, I can't remember. Have they got something the last time out, or they lost the last time out at home?
No, we were still on. Two wins all season. We'd come to the end of a 3-game spell, winning away from home, getting pumped in the last away game. So expectations going into this were not high. However, Hull were pretty much unplayable for the first 15 minutes of this one, which absolutely nobody saw coming. There was a chance early on. Alzate played a long ball, found Joe Geldat, who forced a save from Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn as well, getting booed off the park with every touch of the ball, seeing as he pretty much ruined our season last year by taking out Liam Delap. People don't forget these things. But yeah, I clearly did because I had to text Rich and say, why are they booing this man? I can't remember. Geldat was at it again though. Some great work on the right-hand side. Saw him pick out an overlapping run of old man Louis Coyle, whose cross was steered in at the near post by none other than Matt Crooks to make it 1-0. That was on the 14th minute. And at that point, Hull decided to stop the high press, which had been working an absolute treat for the first 15 minutes, sit right back, and just let Norwich take over. Disappointing. It was really frustrating to watch because the change in tactics was working so well. And from the point they decided to stop doing that, Hull never really recovered. They just invited pressure wave after wave, but they managed to hold on to the lead into half time. So it was 1-0 to Hull at the break. But it was just after the restart where Norwich's 11 men plus a squirrel entered the pitch. This is possibly the most random thing I've ever seen at football. I've seen seagulls on the pitch. I've seen a seagull get hit by a football mid-flight, but I've never seen a squirrel just decided to think, do you know what? What a good idea to run into the middle of these 22 men who are much bigger than me and the football. Yeah. As Norwich were working the ball down the right-hand side, a squirrel decided to enter the pitch. It's safe to say that some players seemed distracted, but Norwich continued. Fisher crossed for Sargent, who headed home with his big ginger throw. So 1-1. The pressure continued. Hull did have a chance, though, when Geldhart fired just wide, and then shortly after, Norwich hit the post. Sainz hitting the post in the 75th minute. From that point, from earlier on in that point, it was a pretty messy second half. But yeah, it did peter out to a 1-1 draw. So a point gained, I'd say overall. I would say that a draw maybe favoured us a little bit more by all the pressure that Norwich put on, but they got a point at home. So on recent form, can't complain.
I was going to say, I mean, I suppose you take it as an arresting the slump. Was it? I'm not trying to sort of like piss you off here. This is a legitimate question. Were they? What was the run? How many games had they lost at home on the spin?
Oh, I mean the last game that they won was
Swansea?
just before Christmas. I think it was something like the 21st of December. So they've
Right.
gone 2.5 months pretty much, or 2 months pretty much without winning at home again. Granted, obviously some of those games have been away from home, and they have won a few away from home, but they're not picking up points at a rate of which I would say is conducive to staying in the division at this point in time. The new signings have definitely made an impact, but this season has just felt like perpetual pre-season. The new manager comes in at the beginning of the year, brings in a shitload of players, and when I say shit load of players, that's exactly what I meant. Obviously gets binned just before Christmas. New guy comes in, has to chop and change the team because he doesn't know like the players. So again, still in pre-season mode. And then January comes around and we ship out a few and we get a few in, and then still in pre-season mode. Yeah, at some point, I'm sure the season will start and we'll be absolutely loving life. But that might be when we're in League One.
Well, the last time you were in League One, may I remind you, it was a very successful season. But
I mean, it would have been had anybody been able to be in the stands to actually watch any of the fucking games. But
well, maybe they just wanted maybe his thought process is that he wants to get the guarantee of a promotion for the fans whilst they're in the stadium, but he doesn't see a Premier League promotion coming anytime soon. So he's like, well, if we take the short term pain on a long term gain
no,
and stuff like that. Yes, not ideal, but a point is better than none. So you're already better than Forest were this week. And foreshadowing, we'll see what about the last result we need to go through. Predictions wise, Matt is the only person who did not score points in this game. He went for a 1-0 Hull win with Gelhard to score the goal, no points. Andy had gone for a 1-0 Hull win with Crooks to score, 1 point for him. Stuart had gone for a 2-1 Norwich win. Joseph, Dobbin and Sargent, so Stuart gets the bonus point for the Sargent goal. I, however, had gone for a 1-1 draw, so 2 delicious, juicy points for me. I also had Crooks to score for Hull, but I had Borja Sainz to score for Norwich, so no clean sweep for me, no full jobby of points for poorly. So, no points for Matt. Point apiece for Andy and Stu. 3 big juicy points for me. Which just means we go into our last game of the week, which was Middlesbrough versus Watford. With me very much in the driving seat. And I think Borough started this game in the driving seat, as it were. I've only seen the highlights. I mean, highlights being the operative word there, as not a great game. From what I could see on the highlights I saw, Borough the better in the first half from an initial perspective. There was a couple of Borough chances. The first one came when Tommy Conway was put in sort of down the left-hand edge of the box, drew a challenge from one of the Watford defenders. Wasn't his strongest. He almost sort of went shoulder to shoulder and went and threw himself to the floor. Penalty shout, not from me, Clive. He also was back in the action when he robbed one of the Watford defenders on the edge of his own box. Managed to get the ball out of his feet, but then his effort at the keeper was straight at the keeper, very tame. Watford almost opened the scoring when Czech Vertadze drew a good save from Travers down to his right-hand side. But they did actually get the opening goal on the 40th minute. A corner from the right-hand side was headed in by Musa Sissoko, who managed to run completely unmarked onto the edge of the 6-yard box and just power his header straight past Travers to make it 1-0. It stayed 1-0 into the half, and then it seemed as though it was all Watford second half. Another couple of chances from Czech Vertadze, drew good saves from Travers to keep it at 0-1, and Borough probably should have got a point right at the death, or somewhat towards the end of the game. And Rav van den Berg found himself in a similar position to Sissoko, and he managed to make an untracked run towards the back post, and his header sadly hit the post. So no equalising goal for the Borough. 1-0 to Watford. Lots and lots of boos at full time. A lot of people calling for Mr. Michael Carrick's head, feeling that a change is needed in the dugout to salvage something from the season. I've heard on a couple of TV shows and a couple of other podcasts, is there an argument that if Carrick doesn't get him in the top 6, fair enough, maybe he doesn't have to get him promoted, but if he doesn't get him in the top 6 this season, is there a possibility he loses his job? At this point, I would say it's very, very likely that if he doesn't do that, then yeah, he won't be the manager of Middlesbrough next season. Just based on the outlay of players alone. Obviously, I know they sold the top scorer Latte in the transfer window, but they brought in a replacement who's more than capable of scoring goals at this level. He's proved it with Plymouth in Morgan Whitaker. And there was obviously players bought in the summer with the express idea of getting him, cementing that place in the top 6. So he can't even argue that he doesn't have the squad at his disposal that he needs. So yeah, very worrying. That was the 4th loss on the spin for Borough as well. A really alarming run of form. And they were playing against the only other team in the division who had worse form than them coming into this. So to say that they've been beaten is not a great marker for the team, shall we say. It's also not great from a podcast predictions perspective, as no one gets any points from this game. No one had the only close. Well, myself and Stu had draws. Matt and Andy had Borough wins. No one had Sissoko down to score either. So no points across the board, which means Stu ends the week with 2 points from 3 games. Andy ends the week with 2 points from 3 games. Matt, 3 points from 3 games, but I get the win this week with a whopping 5 points from 3 games. Yeah, football there. It's got a very, very lovely place in the bin from my perspective. So, week 26 is fast approaching over the horizon. It brings with it 6 games total. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any predictions from Mr. Mo, so there will just be the 3 predictions per game from the 3 of us that you see on the screen now. The first
Our odds
game.
just went up.
Oh, well, that is also true. Obviously, if Matt gets his predictions to me off screen or off record, I will add them to the book and bring them to you next week when we discuss the results. So, our first game of the week. It's on Friday. It's not the main Sky Sports Telebox game, but it is available on the Sky Sports Plus channel. So I will, of course, have to subject myself to yet more misery, no doubt, as Bristol City take on Middlesbrough. Exactly what you want when you're in a terrible run of form. One of the teams that has been your bogey side for the last 10 to 15 years.
Is this not being billed as the battle of the most inconsistent sides in the Championship currently? Surely.
No, that was last week.
Oh, no, but Bristol have been the one of those teams that, like, it doesn't matter what season we're in. Once it seems to get to like past October, which one of their sides turns up is anybody's guess. They're either going to absolutely blast you 2-0 or they're just not going to turn up at all.
All I'll say is that Bristol City's last 6 results are as follows: 2-2 draw away Sheffield Wednesday, 2-1 home win against Blackburn, 1-1 away draw against Oxford, 1-0 home loss against Swansea City, 2-0 home win against Stoke City, 1-1 away draw at Cardiff. It reads better than loss against Portsmouth, win against West Brom, loss against Preston, loss against Sunderland, loss against Sheffield United, loss against Watford. So, yeah. Obviously, Bristol City is my team. Sorry, Middlesbrough is my team. Technically, obviously, Bristol City is Mr. Cook's team. If you know, you know. So I will give my prediction last. Let's go to Stu for his prediction on Bristol City versus Middlesbrough.
Well, would it not be the most Middlesbrough thing to go and win 1-0? So
yes.
I'm going for a 1-0 Borough win with Whittaker to score.
Oh, good lord. May God have mercy on him. So I cannot spell that name. Oh, good lord! I've put T's, I've put K's, I've put multiples of everything. I think I saw like a hyphen in there at some point. 1-0 Whittaker. Andrew.
I have 2-0.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much that situation where something needs to happen, something needs to change. So, 2 goals sets the ship right, and away we go. I imagine this will be, because there's so many games to predict, I imagine this is going to be an evening of Andy's managed to pick all of the players that no longer play for those teams, are injured, will never score. Who is that? I've never heard of that player. So let's start with, I've got a Zaz, and that guy that loves them nachos, Ian Atcher.
Ian
and
his natural.
Everybody's favourite. I know, Paul, you can't be on board with that name because that's like Brereton Diaz. He's claiming his Mexican heritage by good old Ian Nachos.
Ian Nachos.
Now. I think you are both ridiculous. I've gone for a 2-1 Bristol City win. We just do not, seriously. Bristol City and Blackburn specifically at home, we just do not do well. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Blackburn must have signed some sort of deal with some sort of Indian burial ground that only gets transported to the Riverside once they come, or maybe they drive an Indian burial ground to the game, and that's what causes the terrible form. Borough, 2-1 Bristol City. Can't see the slump arresting anytime soon. I've gone for Twine and Bird, the score for Bristol City, and then obviously Tommy Conway going back to Ashton Yate. I've got him to score for the Borough. Second game of the week is on Saturday. He's on lunchtime, and he's on Sky Sports Television. main channel as well. None of this plus shite. It's the featured game on Sky Sports Football. Sunderland versus Hull City. It's Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will therefore give his prediction last. I've gone for a 1-1 draw here. Sunderland have just been beaten by Leeds. Boo. So Hull playing better away from home than at home, more than likely. Obviously got that incredible result against Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago. I think they can get something here. So I've gone for a goal for Isidore and a goal for João Pedro. Hull. Andy, what have you got for Sunderland versus Hull?
I've got Hull winning 1-0.
No.
I've got Burstow to score that one goal.
I'm assuming you're not going to be in person for this one, but will you be?
No, I won't.
Oh, thank you,
Andy. No, we did actually look at going to this one. With it being half term, there was the chance of going, and then the fact it's the dinner time kickoff kind of put a bit paid to that, really. On top of the fact that you start to look into it, an under 14s ticket for the lads is very, very reasonably priced at £1 each. The adults tickets, £32 each. So by the time that we got there, done all the usual stuff, we was like, when it's on telly, it feels a little bit of a stretch. So yeah, we decided not to. However, the club are putting on. Basically, you get a free ticket to go to the Legends Lounge at the stadium, so you can watch it amongst other fans. Don't have to pay to get in. None of that. Before the game kicks off, they're doing cheeky little stadium tour. If you do go down there and do that, and obviously the bar is open, as is the pizza oven. So the club, taking their chance to make a little bit of a side hustle on the away game, which you can't blame them for, really. So fair enough. But no, I won't be going to watch us lose 2-0 in person. And I've got Messidor and Rig. Can only assume that obviously that won't be a penalty.
I don't think Riggs the penalty taker, mate.
I meant the first. Can well know it.
Yeah, joke's on me, mate. He's got against my team, so. So 2 games down. Our third game of the week is Newcastle United versus Nottingham Forest, and this also happens to be on Sky Sports telly, no less. 2 p.m. Sunday kickoff. We will be predicting this, but not right now. We're going to take a small break to really think about this one, because obviously it's Newcastle, so. But we'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. Don't go anywhere. And just like that, we're back at it. So, Newcastle United versus Nottingham Forest. Now, obviously, this is Mr. McMurray's team, so therefore he would usually be going last. And obviously, it's a game that's very close to his heart, as obviously he's had to put up with an awful lot of tune-based nonsense for the past however many years. So sadly, I don't have a prediction in his space, and obviously he can't go last because he's not on the call. So I'll give Andy the honour of being the last person to predict this one. And I will start us off in a very, very unsavoury manner, as unfortunately I have got a Newcastle 2-1 win, as they seem to have a bit of a hex over Forest. I know that wasn't the case last year when Chris Wood scored a hat trick at St James's Park, but I mean, a repeat of that would be would just be perfect. But sadly, I don't see it happening. So yes, I've gone for a 2-1 Newcastle win. I've gone for a goal apiece for Isak and Murphy, and obviously I've got my Wood out. So let's see what happens there. Stu, what have you got for the Toon versus the Forest?
Well, seeing as we were talking about Ian Nacho earlier, I have gone for his Mexican counterpart, Juan Juan. Um, and I'm not going to lower myself to such terrible jokes as you, and I am not going to get my wood out as you might. So I've gone for Gibbs White and Bucky's favourite, Tonali.
Mr. Cook?
You said you would like to see 3 goals, so would I. So it's 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. Wood will not be getting a hat-trick, though. He will just take 2 of those goals and leave the third for Gibbs White.
If that happens, sir, I will buy you a pint of the finest non-alcoholic beer of your choice, as I would love to see it.
I will take a non-alcoholic Guinness in Dublin some point in the near future.
I think that should be the aim at some point this year, is to find a location that has the Guinness Zero on draft, because it does exist. You just have to find it in like certain places. So that's our weekend fixtures done, but we each have a midweek game next week. The first of which, let me just double check. Yes, it's not currently listed on the Sky Sports Plus channel, but I can't envisage a scenario where it's not going to be on. So, Cardiff City versus Hull City. Obviously, it's Mr. Woodmansey. He will give his prediction last. Let's go to Andy for his prediction on Cardiff versus Hull.
I have a 1-1 draw.
Ooh.
I've got Salech.
Bless you.
Thank you. For Cardiff, and Crooks for Hull.
Salech scored against Bristol City. I like it. Did you say Crooks?
I did. Yes.
Crooks, obviously a theme, as I too have gone for him to score in a 2-0 away win. For Crooks and a debut, well, not a debut goal, but an opening goal for the club for Louis Barry. For me, Stu, how do you see it going? And obviously you'll be going to this one, yeah. Just a nice, nice short trip
down the road.
Well, this is one that it's a rearranged fixture from the fact that it's just Cardiff rubbing it in for the fact that they got through to an extra round of the FA Cup whilst we were busy being absolutely garbage against Doncaster. The owner had already said if you buy a ticket to this one, he will pay for your bus. Probably didn't anticipate it being midweek. That's going to be a very late return journey. Yeah. Well, it's one of our only 2 chances currently to do the double over anybody. So yeah, do you know what? In for a penny. Let's go Cardiff 1, Hull City 2.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll go for Pedro and Gelhardt for Hull. And we'll go for El Ghazi for Cardiff. As much as it'll make Andy pull a face, the guy that we currently have, as in Gelhardt from Dirty Leeds, done half put a shift in. He's he's not bad. He's maybe not going to be scoring you a goal every single game, but he obviously has scored already. But his contributions off the ball as well, and even in link-up play, he looks good. Leeds must be in an abundance if they're not using him. Put it that way.
is there an argument to be made that he's putting in the effort because he desperately wants to be away from that terrible, terrible shithole?
But what, by the same stretch that the next time that we do a 10K, if it's the Leeds one, Andy wants the route rearranging from the city centre to the outskirts.
Hey, it's not a terrible idea.
Oh, but that would mean he'd have to get into the city centre to start with, though. That's the
I know, but
only problem.
it'll always be in the rear view mirror if he's got to run away from it. So our second game of the midweek set of fixtures sees this is also rearranged from the FA Cup fourth round weekend and sees Stoke City versus Middlesbrough. Now this one is currently listed as being on Sky Sports Plus, so I'd be very surprised if this one's on and the whole game isn't. Obviously it's my team, so I will give my prediction last. Let's go straight back to Stu for his prediction on Stoke versus the Borough.
Well, this time we've got a meeting of the minds because we can bring back Juan and introduce him to Iheanacho. And then the Stoke goal scorer will be Kumas. For those of you that don't understand my absolute bullshit, that's 1-1 with Kumas and Iheanacho as the goal scorers.
Don't worry, I deciphered it. It's fine.
You've been speaking my bullshit for a long time, though, Paul, so it's all good.
Over 20 years, no less, at this point. Wow.
Yeah, make me feel old. You carry on.
I've got Borough winning 2-0.
Wow.
I've gone back in on Iheanacho. I predicted Bergzog, but something tells me I had a weird feeling that that might not have been the right move.
No, that's fine. He didn't start at the weekend against Watford, which was.
I had a weird feeling that there was some mention of him having a knock or something.
Yeah, I don't think he's injured. I think he did come on, so I think he got on against Watford. It was just the fact that he's obviously the form like forward player at the moment at the club, and he didn't play him, which was obviously a massive mistake. But yeah, I'd be very surprised if he doesn't play. Personally,
okay. There we go. Then.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Bergzog on the score sheet. Although I would be surprised for my prediction because I've gone for a 0-0 draw. I imagine at this point, obviously, if my prediction for the previous game comes to pass and they do get beaten against Bristol City, I think there is every possibility that Carrick does indeed lose his job, and therefore the person taking the game as the caretaker, or even if they've got a new man in place straight away, is just going to want to see a nice sort of, basic game where they keep it tight, try and not concede, and if they don't score, it's not the end of the world, at least they get a point. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw, personally. We round out the week with the second Nottingham Forest fixture of the week, and that is Nottingham Forest taking on the Arsenal. Again, he's not here, so I can't give predictions last. So I'll give the honours on the second game of the week to Mr. Woodmansey, who gave his prediction last. I've gone for a 2-2 draw here. I don't think Arsenal have got the best record at the City ground, having lost their last season and been dumped out in the FA Cup a couple of times there in the last couple of years. Obviously, the league's a different animal, but yeah, I quite fancy Forest to get some of this. I've gone for a 2-2 draw. My wood is firmly placed in for this game, as I've gone for Elanga and Gibbs-White to be the goal scorers for Forest, with Rice and Nwaneri to score for the Arsenal. Andy?
I got Forest winning 2-1.
Oh, lovely.
I think we know by now I'm never not getting my wood out. I've also got Sosa to score the other Forest goal. And for Arsenal, I have Marino.
Scorer of 2 goals at the weekend. Very much the game changer in their win away at Leicester City. That just gives Stuart Woodmansey the honour and privilege of finishing us off this week.
I have also got 2-1, but unfortunately to the Arsenal.
Your Forest goal scorer?
Ignore what I previously said. It's time to get the wood out this time for me as well. You can't go a full week without, yeah, you carry on.
Well, you got to wear it at some point, haven't you? So.
The goal scorers I've got for Arsenal are Nwaneri and Odegaard. Arsenal are doing that really annoying thing really annoying thing for their own supporters where they've decided that they might actually try and dig themselves out in a few games to make it look like there's a chance that they might win something. And unfortunately for Forest, they're meeting in that period where Arsenal need to dig out a few results in a row just to, really give their fans something to look forward to, not celebrating in a couple of months' time.
Watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the end of the predictions. I was going to say, has anyone got anything they want to bring to the table? But I already know that Mr. Woodmansey had mentioned something in the group chat a couple of days ago that had tickled his fancy, so to speak. I will just need to find it, but it was in relation to a player who had managed to get himself in a little bit of bother as he'd been to the darts and was caught on screen showing up a banner of some kind with his thoughts on the current manager of the club that he is currently at. So St Mirren star Zach Hemming, who also just happens to be on loan at the club from Middlesbrough, was spotted at the darts last night, cheekily calling for his manager Stephen Robinson to be sacked. The next team meeting is going to be awkward. Not ideal. This is, of course, Zach Hemming, who was on loan at Leyton Orient earlier in the season, wasn't really getting game time, so was recalled from his loan and immediately sent up to St Mirren. So, not a great way to ingratiate yourself in with the staff. Need we say?
Well, I mean, who knows? This is the point where I feel like we needed to delve deeper. Was he getting a game? If not, and he's there on loan from, not being horrible, a much better club, then, fair enough. I think if that's his way of getting his loan almost terminated early, if needs be, then you got to do what you got to do. But in terms of anything else, I feel like we almost could have had this as a segment from the very beginning of Shithouse of the Week, if that was an actual thing. But special shout out this time to Adam Forshaw, currently of Blackburn Rovers, who had his contract terminated at Plymouth Argyle on the 11th of January, and then scored for Blackburn against Plymouth Argyle on the 15th of February. Was so delighted in such a goal scoring opportunity that he then decided to celebrate right in front of his friends and family who were in the stands, who happened to be sat right behind the Plymouth dugout. So he effectively celebrated his goal right in front of his ex-manager. Well done, fella. That is top drawer shithousery.
It really is, and they actually said that was the reason why he was so. Obviously, the reason why he celebrated so hard, mainly because it was against his former team. It also was his first goal in 9 years, and as an extra kicker, the last time he scored, I was there in person because it was for Middlesbrough against Reading in about the 96th minute to win the game. It was a game that Borough really desperately needed to win to keep up their hopes of automatic promotion. They actually did manage to get at the end of that particular season. Yeah, 2016, the last time we found the back of the net. So yes, I think if I hadn't scored for 9 years, I'd be giving it absolute rock all as well. in front of whatever manager just happened to be in the vicinity of my celebrations. To be honest with you, anything else?
That was me. We'll leave you with the peak of the shithousery.
Yes, obviously we'll keep our eyes peeled for any more shithousing that's done between now and the end of the season. Let's be honest. At least Matt Crooks will probably do something at some point. He's the sort.
The level of banter already that seems to be flying between him and certain members of management, on the basis of they showed a little bit of a behind the scenes clip from the game at the weekend, and it was Crooks arriving and having a bit of back and forth with Andy Dawson, one of our assistant coaches. And as Crooks had said something to him, you just caught Dawson on camera going, "Yeah, but you're going to score today, aren't you?" And then like smirking. And then, of course, he goes on and scores the opening goal in the game. So I would assume that there'll be some back and forth from him at some point.
Lovely stuff. I mean, that's the thing. Be a shithouse as much as you want, but unless you can back it up, you're going to look a bit of a prick. So that's what we get down to. So thank you, as always, to the wonderful gentlemen that you see on your screen for joining me to go through the details of their team and doing their best to not laugh at my team, which at times seems harder than ever. Thank you to you, the listeners, the watchers, for joining us to listen to us ramble about the goings on at our respective teams. If this is your first time around here, welcome. Thanks for listening. Maybe think about subscribing to the channel. We're not just got football. We've got lots of other stuff to talk about as well. We did have a weekly American football podcast, but sadly the season has ended.
It's too soon.
I know. The season has ended. The Super Bowl is done. There is no more American football chat for at least another 6 months. But obviously, you could just go back to the back catalogue. Just, if anything, play it week by week as if the season is still going, and then it almost feels like the NFL is still here. We also have if wrestling's right up your alley, we have a monthly wrestling roundup podcast where we go through our predictions for the upcoming premium live event. There'll be an Elimination Chamber prediction show coming your way in the next couple of weeks, as that pay-per-view is due for the 1st of March. If you're a fan of the Formula One, the Straight to the Apex podcast is also available on a weekly basis. Or, well, I say a weekly basis, whenever there's a race scheduled normally. And then, of course, that man right there in the yellow and black hoodie, each week, the Darkest Timeline podcast covers everything. Everything that's inside that head. Could be his diet that week. Could be his game. Could be his games that week. Could be his new pair of jeans. Yes, exactly. So tune in. Well worth a listen. Join us again next week where we'll go through the results of those 6 games. We'll also bring you predictions for the next set of fixtures for each of our teams. Until then, thanks as always for listening. Take care of each other. Keep an eye out for yourself. And we will see you next week. Tatty bye for now.
So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another one gone. All those games. Whew. A lot of games. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Before you go, if you could do us a little small favour, or a series of small favours, like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.